Another use of unique species in the field of medicine is the chemistries they contain that provide us with prescription medicines and active ingredients in many other antidotes and treatments. Only a small fraction of the plants and animals in the world have been studied to determine their unique chemistries. Yet, in the last quarter century, more than 50% of all prescription medicines produced contained active ingredients extracted from plants and animals. These chemicals are used to manufacture medicines to treat heart disease, cancer, and a host of other illnesses and diseases that are fatal to humans. Domesticated plants and animals are currently used to provide and produce food. Annually, new species are developed, planted, cultivated, or raised, and scientists are constantly having to look for new sources of food. Techniques involving animals and plants are also used to protect crops from pesticides and other diseases. Without these natural controls, it is difficult for many farmers to raise crops and keep them healthy as diseases are constantly evolving. One technique being worked on is taking plasma from wild plant organisms and inserting it into domestic species, thus rendering the domestic species immune to certain diseases. Each ecosystem has its own unique organisms that allow the system to thrive and function. Some species, in fact, define the environment that they inhabit. Consequently, one species cannot be removed without affecting others. Therefore, the extinction of even one species could possibly throw off the entire ecosystem, even if the effects were not immediate. One example of this is the prairie dog towns. The black-footed ferret, burrowing owl, rattlesnake, badger, coyote, and some raptors all depend on prairie dogs as an essential food source. A decrease in the amount of prairie dogs would mean a decrease in the amount of other organisms. If these organisms were connected to others, there would most certainly be disastrous consequences. Abundance and diversity among the species of Utah provide the opportunity for citizens to participate in wildlife-associated recreational activities that enrich their lives. In 1996, some 650,000 U.S. residents 16 and older participated in watchable wildlife activities in Utah. Together, these individuals spend on average $50 million more to watch wildlife than hunters or anglers do to destroy it each year. Based on these estimates, preserving Utah's endangered wildlife makes economic sense. Endangered species in Utah also provide aesthetic beauty to Utah's landscape. Without these species, much of that beauty is lost. This absence would create a decrease in the amount of the public that participate in watchable wildlife activities, hurting the economy. One of the most important ways to help threatened plants and animals survive is to protect their habitats permanently in national parks, nature reserves, or wilderness areas. There they can live without too much interference from humans. By visiting these areas and following rules and regulations that apply, you help provide the funds needed to assist endangered species. It is also important to protect habitats outside reserves, such as on farms and along roadsides. Another way to preserve these species is to plant native and endangered species of plants. This will encourage the animals to return. Any water, energy, and resources that you can save make a big difference. By controlling non-native species and not allowing them to take over any areas, native species have a chance to thrive. Captive breeding practices have been used extensively, particularly with black-footed ferrets. The original 18 in captivity has increased to 330. The purpose of breeding in captivity is not to replace the original population, but to have enough of the organisms that reintroduction can be successful. Recently, we went to the local mall and questioned several people whether or not they would be willing to raise taxes by $5 a year in order to help save endangered species. 67% of people polled said that they would be willing to raise tax dollars, and the remaining 33% said that they would not, mainly on the basis that they don't think that the money would be effectively utilized. 39 people were polled. Endangered species are a much bigger part of our lives than some people can imagine. What it will really take to secure their future, and with it ours, is to educate people about the situation. If people knew how much this pertained to their lives, it is our firm belief that they would take the small steps, the baby steps that lead to so much if everybody works together. And we must work together for ourselves and for our planet. Our goal A world worth living.